Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. I think we're in week 12 now. Anyhow, I'm going to be doing a series of classes on different effects that normally people have trouble with. And the first one that we're going to be doing is clouds. So I'm going to get started. I've mixed two different light blues, a slightly darker one and a lighter one. And the first thing that I'm going to do is make a sky. So to make a sky, you want it to be as flat as possible. So to make it really flat, I'm just using a flat brush, yeah? And I'm painting one way and then the other, so that my paintbrushes, my marks of the brush stroke, are being covered as I'm painting. You don't want any texture on your sky. You want it to be as flat as possible, yeah? You can put a little bit of water. So just going one way and then the other. So you want your brush stroke to be quite soft and fast. That's the trick. And now I'm going to put a lighter color at the bottom. And I've done a video already on how to do blending, but just a quick reminder, you put the color underneath, and then once you've done that, you're gonna join them by very fast painting over the bottom bit of the darker one. Yeah. So the paint has got to be dry. Wet. What am I saying? The paint has got to be wet, otherwise it doesn't work, yeah? So just remember, wet paint. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm actually gonna stick on a lighter one underneath. So I'm gonna have literally 3 tones. And the reason I'm doing that is that if you look at the sky, you can just do that now by looking outside your window, you will notice that the closer you get to the horizon, the whiter the blue gets. So it's more realistic when painting a sky if you just get 2 or 3 different tones of blue. The lighter at the bottom, and then it gets more intense and darker as you go up. Okay, so I've got my base. That is my sky. Yeah. Step 1, we're done. Step 2, you're gonna grab a tiny bit of sponge and yeah, just any old sponge will do. And we're going to do a couple of different ones. We're going to do some with grays and some just using white. So first of all, I think I'll demonstrate the one just using white. I'm going to grab a little bit of paint, not too much, and I'm just going to rub it on a little bit of my palette to get the excess out. I don't want too much paint on my sponge, yeah? And following that, I'm going to make I'm going to be moving, can you see? I'm making circles. And I'm making little circles. I don't want too much paint at first. I want very little paint, as I'm going to be adding more as I go on. And as you can tell, you've got the blue from the sky that it's serving my cloud, yeah? So we've got a series of circles. Some are bigger than others, and then they kind of dissipate. And I also want that kind of fluffy little bits to make it look more natural, yeah? So once I'm done with that, you can do it while the paint is wet. It doesn't have to be dry. I'm gonna start adding a little bit more white on some parts, but I'm gonna do this little by little. If you do it too much, too quick, your cloud is not gonna look realistic anymore. So see, there is, ooh, losing realism a little bit. So I'm gonna get a little bit of my clean sponge and just try to blend it, yeah? And I'm just adding little bits here and there. And if you look at clouds, there's parts where the sun is shining through them that they're a lot whiter. There are other bits that are a little bit darker. So you just want to use the blue from the sky to be your dark. and you just want to use a little tiny bit of extra paint to be your highlight. So with this technique you can also paint smoke. That they're kind of like things that people normally go like, oh my god, how am I gonna do to achieve that effect? You know, smoke clouds are quite difficult things to make sometimes with a paintbrush, but with a sponge it can be quite easy. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that one as that, as a kind of demonstration on how to do it with the sky, and then I'm gonna make another one. I think with this, it's like less is more, and the more you continue to work on it, it's easy to mess it up. You might want a little tiny bit of a highlight. You can try it with a brush. I'll show you how it works. I'm gonna get a small brush, but that is quite bristly. I don't want it to be too tidy. And I'm just gonna introduce a couple of highlights. But with highlights, you always have to be very, very minimal, yeah? Because if you do a lot of highlights, things stop looking realistic. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight tiny bits. And I'm going to leave it as such. Okay, there's a little bit of fluff there. Oh, fluff, evil fluff. There we go. So that's cloud number 1, using the sky as a base. And what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to grab my other little sponge, and I'm going to make a little bit of a stormy cloud. So I've pre-mixed a little bit of grays, and I've kept it a little bit bluish because the blues that you find in clouds are, the grays that you find in clouds are kind of like darker. So I'm going to start by putting in my darker grays and doing the same. I am moving my sponge in circular movements of different sizes of circles. Some of them are big, some of them are small, and I'm keeping some fluffy bits without much definition. Yeah. Next I'm gonna go with a mid gray, and I'm gonna cover up a little bit of the darkness but not too much, and then I'm gonna go with a lighter gray. Again, I am moving circular motions. I am not covering my darks too much, because if I cover them completely, I will lose depth. Yeah. So far that's what I've got. Covered it a little bit, not too much. And then I'm gonna go with my other sponge, the white one. And I'm going to start highlighting and bringing in. So I'm allowing the paint to be mixing on the surface. Yeah. I think I made the mistake of covering up too many of my darks at first. So with this kind of thing, you know, you might have to try it several times before you get it right. It might be kind of like, okay, the first time, and you might have to try again, but never give up. You know, the more you try, the better you'll become at it. So I'm introducing a little bit of darkness, which I wouldn't normally, but I think it's just because I cover them too much. And I'm tapping it to keep it kind of like fluffy, and also to keep it blended. I want a little bit more darkness at the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit. Okay, so now that I've got this stuff going on, so you can also add purples, you can add pinks, you can add loads of different colors, yeah? I'm just going to bring the white again, yeah? And I'm just going to pick little bits for highlighting. And I'm going to be very careful this time not to cover over my darks. So remember, always blend a little bit your darks, but not too much, otherwise you lose depth and you lose realism, yeah? So at the moment, I'm working from my imagination, but I really recommend that when you do this, you use a picture of a cloud, or you look out the window even better if you got some clouds outside. Always having a reference works better than from your mind. You'll achieve better results. Okay, so that's a bit of a stormier, darker cloud over there. All right, and that is it for this video. And I hope you stick around because I have other ones coming. We're going to be doing fur, and we're also going to be doing transparencies. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you make some lovely fluffy clouds. Bye bye.